Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Miami Talks Real Estate with me, Siobhan White, owner of EWP Management. I have a special guest, Edwin Eshesimua, Senior Project Manager at JLL Commercial Real Estate. How are you doing this evening?
I am well.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me about your background and how you started in the field of project management?
Right out of school, 20 plus years ago, I finished my engineering degree. Everybody probably gets their professional license and goes to design. I wanted to build. I wanted to be on site. I wanted to pour concrete. So I went to work for Dade County Public Schools, checking all the construction they were doing all over town. And that got me another job as Miami was just starting to boom. Like the condos were just starting to go. So
What year was this?
I'd say 1999. So yeah, right around that time, early 2000s, they're building up and down the coast. And I kind of got on. You start up as a project engineer, so to speak, which is
what your degree is in, right?
Well, no, my degree was in civil structural engineering and architectural engineering. So I knew about most of construction, but project management is a different thing. It's the entire animal, not just one piece of it. So I kind of got into it right away. My colleagues went to design, and I loved it. I haven't really left managing projects and more complex projects as I went on.
Basically, as soon as you got out of school, you went right into it and stayed there.
Yes.
You were in New York for a few years, and you were with Sitka. How was that?
Very good. Global corporation. I guess I kind of graduated out of Miami and ended up in New York, wanted to do bigger projects. Started working on super talls. Those are buildings that go over 1,000 feet. And somebody interested me in the actual glass, the curtain wall that keeps these things enclosed. And the company that actually provides the silicone around it, that's Sika. It was an odd recruitment. It was really out of nowhere. They asked me the oddest questions. I didn't know what they sold. But they kind of called on me, and it stretched me and my limits. I became like an engineer for them, which is teaching people about building worldwide. So loved it. It was technical. It was speaking. It wasn't necessarily building ground up. So I had my hands on 20,000 projects as opposed to one at a time.
But you also were kind of on your own construction company, Edo Construct. You were CEO.
Yeah.
How was that? Was it different than working for a big corporation?
Yes. I think that's the Miami in me. The first 2008, the first recession, they pretty much they canned all of us, every job. That's when I really, started that construction part. Just started a construction management company. It was short-lived at a time, but I got a taste of working for myself. So I've kind of kept that, Edo Construct in the back pocket the whole time. And of course, COVID.
Other things came along.
Exactly.
And,
The economy booms. I become high demand. I get called again. But COVID, obviously, no one was on demand. However, they were still building. So
I know that they stopped in some respect of building because obviously we were all on lockdown.
Real estate, yeah.
You couldn't leave your front door, let alone climb a building. So how was that in your field? Was it just like all offices shut down like everybody else, or?
It's good. It's a good question. It actually opened an avenue for construction management for me, independent, because people were still around. During COVID, everybody was locked down, but construction workers were going to work. These towers were still going up. Guys are outside, so the mask didn't matter as much. The construction guys, tough-nosed. So there were a lot of projects, home builders, real estate agents.
Mask, no helmet needed, right?
Well, you need the helmet, safety first. But no, so there was a lot of just projects going on, and they wanted less human interaction. So I was able to pitch my management. I can go on site, stay far, observe, take notes, and report back to like small general contractors, real estate agents who didn't have as much. So I kind of saw that open up. I always wanted to do it, and COVID allowed that to happen. So yeah, people were still building, and they needed to be managed from afar. So with a Zoom account and the knowledge, the startup costs were cut in half as opposed to, in the first recession, 2008. So.
Interesting. So tell me a little bit about JLL. What do they do?
So that's my current company. Went corporate, commercial real estate, like you said. JLL is there's several companies like that, large commercial real estate company. Basically, they manage all these buildings downtown in every city in the country.
But they build as
worldwide. Well, it's more in real estate. Almost every aspect of construction and real estate they handle. So yes, there's portions of the company that manage construction. That's what I do. Whether it's build outs, large offices, ground up, there's parts they just do to brokers.
Gotcha.
So we all interact. Just property management, guys that take care of the building, sub-building engineers. So it's called, JLL1, but we all really fit the entire building puzzle. And the more you know within the company, you could actually move around because, as we're talking about here, real estate, it's all kind of connected.
Right. No, definitely. Project management, property management, it's kind of all in the same line, but obviously you deal with a lot of different aspects than I do. Exactly. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career, and what have you done to overcome them?
Starting at the turn of the century, it wasn't about being in a company for 25, 30 years, as you can see, because my career has gone everywhere, global, worldwide. So I guess one of the biggest challenges, starting new companies every couple of years. And the company, I guess I was ahead. I feel like I was ahead of what we do now. It's expected that you're going to move on for 5 years. So, but back then it was looked on as, oh, you're not reliable. But it was because I was outgrowing my position each time. So was that a challenge? Yes, outgrowing a position and getting out of that company and just going to do something else. It became the norm, but at the time it wasn't. So overcoming it is really just responding. Each time when the recession, I became a project manager after 4 or 5 years. I was like 25, building on Sunny Isles Beach, and then just as fast, it was gone. They laid us all off. So each time you have to overcome it, and I kind of have no choice how to overcome it. You got to keep moving, keep growing,
keep going.
Doing something. Miami is a place where we do that. Start a business, or everybody gets into real estate.
Well, because Miami has become its own mecca. It's consistently growing I've been here 16 years, and over that amount of time, it's completely changed.
Exactly. Yeah,
just being in this building 8 years, everything around it is basically new.
That's a good example. Edgewater is not the same.
Yeah, it wasn't even Edgewater. Almost to be real, it wasn't even Edgewater. It was the hood.
It was by the Omni.
It was the Omni area. Yeah, exactly. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and developments in your industry, since this is what you do?
I think I was one of the first people on LinkedIn, literally, that's how old I am.
One of the
500.
first?
Yeah, number 500 or something. I just kind of knew it right away. It was like Facebook or just social media for business. And I wanted, to interact. So I get a lot of interaction there.
A lot of updates on what's coming up.
Yeah, because I follow people I know, people that are knowledgeable, and I've met people in so many industries across. So my feed is, is stacked.
That's nice. That's good to know. I don't think a lot of people know that.
No, people don't use it like that. So
in jobs too, I didn't even realize.
Yeah. All my connections and recruiters, that's where they find me. I've never had to really look. I would just go there, and people are looking for you. So I think people are onto it now, because now I get spam of people. Hey, you're a great business. Before, it really was just, it still is a lot more connections. So, and even some of your favorite real estate magazines get their information that way too. They're all, it's a mix. But I think that's one of the, and talking in the industry, kind of get a sense. You're talking to people who are building right now. Mm-hmm. And then 3 months later, you see it on Real Deal. So.
Also podcasts are a great way to stay up to date with what's going on,
because we're talking about things that, like I said, I hear it, we talk
about
it. So
are you working on any particular buildings coming up right now that the people of Miami should know about?
Let me see, did I sign an NDA? No, I guess I can talk about it. You gotta check. No, because there are projects, people are living in buildings right now that has been sold, they don't know yet.
Oh, damn.
Exactly.
That did not happen here. We made it everyone well aware of what was coming way before it came.
Miami real estate, it does happen. No, but I'm doing currently with JLL, as you mentioned, I'm doing large corporate fit outs. So big companies want to move and take over 10 floors in this building. It may not be ground up, but it's a major move to come into a building that has their own rules and bring designers that, sometimes companies are coming from out of town. So right now, that's what I'm doing. As you know, a lot of international companies are opening headquarters here. So I'm handling a few large companies, and I'm handling their build-outs in Brickell, Wynwood, Coral Gables, literally the hot spots of Miami. So.
Okay. Where do you see the Miami real estate market going? Many say that Miami is the newer and warmer New York coming to be, considering you spent time in both. You're from Miami. and you lived in New York. Do you agree with that? What do you think? Do you think they're more original in their approach, or you think they're trying to do a copycat situation?
I don't follow the next New York kind of thing because New York's great, but New York is New York. Miami is something else. And yes, I think it's going to surpass because, I mean, if you see this beautiful view back here, it's going to surpass New York. Maybe like a mix of Cali, but on the East Coast.
Not a biased opinion.
I mean, you know, stuck up people, but I mean, look at where we live. I mean, I look at this view every day.
I mean, I look at it every day and say, damn, I'm lucky.
You know, and if somebody lives in Kansas, when they get here, they're like, all right, yeah. So no, what Miami's going to be is what's going on in our downtown that's exploding. There's a lot more buildings coming up, residential, mixed use, downtown Miami. So Miami's trying to make it easier for people to walk around and live in the city because you can already stay and do everything with downtown Miami. It's just you're walking over large puddles,
Except
large
shop. I mean,
streets.
there's no shop. There's no food market.
There's no walking, area. So, and that's what's going on, and that's going to extend into Overtown.
Well,
So,
Whole Foods supposed to be going right over here.
that's the sign when the Whole Food comes around. So
Yeah.
property value goes up. So that's what's going to happen
When
downtown.
also Starbucks and Whole Foods. This is a given.
Starbucks. I think they stopped with the Starbucks. Starbucks now hurts you.
Your what?
I just-
Your neighborhood?
Yes, it hurts your building. It hurts. Yes, as opposed to it used to be in Brooklyn. It was no, that's in Brooklyn. That's in New York. Starbucks, the deeper in Brooklyn, they showed up. Oh, man, everybody's like complaining, but I digress. But but that's what's going on in Miami. Downtown is gonna consume everything around it.
Can you walk us through a project you've worked on and that you particularly are proud of?
The 157, the first project I did in New York when I got there.
What is it?
The tower is the 157 tower. It's literally that's the address, 157 on 57 Avenue, right smack in the middle of New York City, called Billionaires Row. So at the time, they were all building by 2012, 2013. If you see a shot now, skyline looked great. Just giant buildings. They look like middle fingers. Giant buildings. They're 500 feet taller than the buildings next to them.
Interesting.
Helicopters used to fly by and do flybys, jets when we were up there. So, but on that project, this was a mixed use condos. The highest selling condo ever was in that building at the time, from the top down. So we had
How many stories?
over 100.
Okay.
10, over 1,000 feet. So it's usually 100, 120. Some mechanical floors. On buildings that high, it's a whole. Actually, there was a documentary done on it while we were there. It was tough. I was coming from Miami, nothing like that. Coming into New York, and I picked up a project halfway. It was the floor sandwich between the residential above and a hotel, Five Diamond Hotel. I didn't know if Five Diamond was a thing, but Hyatt was opening. So I was doing the amenity floor where the hotel guests would go to the spa, the pool, gym.
So that's what you were in charge of.
There's 20 project managers. Everybody had their pieces and corners, for a building like that, it was a system. Like we were ants, basically. But it was a great team. I still have great friends from that project. So I was doing that floor where I had to get the interiors finished, get the pool built, at 400 feet in the air, get an amenities for a movie theater built, a library, all high end. It's called Billionaires Row. So every finish, I was flying to Toronto to pick out wood and on time with the schedule.
So you were doing actual design aspects of the shot?
I was working with one of the biggest designers in the world, YP, they're called, Yabu Pusherberg. Great designers. I got open to all of that, exposed to all that in New York. So it kind of, I'd say raised my self-confidence after I did that job. So it was the toughest. They were surprised completely. The guy who hired me, oh my God, you did it.
So is it your favorite because of the type of project it was or because of the recognition you got from it? And
Because
confidence?
of how, yes, more of the accomplishment. Because I kind of just took it like, yeah, I can do it. It was nothing like it ever done before. But once I did that, that's, I was like, I can do anything.
Yeah, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're dealing with these high-end clients. And
You kind of learn it's a different room. It's a different room. You gotta, and it's actually valued now in my career, in the fact that you're dealing with C-suite executives. You may not be C-suite yourself.
Can you explain what a C-suite is?
So corporate world, C-suite are the CEOs, chairman of information, chairman, executives, those guys that they see the entire numbers for the company all the time. So And yes, maybe a big company. So they want to know bottom line, how does this hurt this? And you have to be able to give information, short sentences and succinctly.
You said short sentences.
Yes, yes. Because the second you go into
They're like, oh.
you've lost them.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like you're cutting you down when they just ask the right question, but no.
Like in the Oscars when you're giving your speech and you hear the music in the background.
Correct. Like,
move, get it moving.
Make your point. Make your point. I noticed that a lot, these days, and that same confidence I got from that project that doesn't matter. Biggest developers in New York, I was in the room with them every week, every day, working on these things. So that's probably one of the toughest, and still, it's led everything since then.
That's very interesting. So for the layman people out there, when they look at someone like you who handles projects, you're a project manager, if you was to put that in a nutshell, what exactly is that job?
Yeah, it's something we can't do. You ask any project manager. But one app description we use is cat herders.
Cat herders?
Yeah. You ever try to get a cat to go to do something? Okay, try to do that with 10 cats. And then you know what our job entails. Try to get 10 cats to go in one direction at the same time. That's what our job entails.
Who would voluntarily do that job?
That's what I thought. But I think people like me, yeah.
It's because you like challenges?
No, it's not even liking challenges. It's like juggling. Juggling, but 10 jugglers, put them together, you got a circus. Somebody's got to run that circus.
So is this your long-term plans? Do you want to stay in this? Are you going to eventually go back to Edo Construct and just run your own projects? Or do you want to continue working for corporate, or what do you want to do?
Corporate's good. It is what it is, but
steady.
Yeah, but there's something about working for yourself.
Absolutely.
Being an owner. Miami, like I said, which is why I started this company years ago. So I think I'm going to work for myself and go into the market and represent myself and me as a project manager, as a fixer of problems for the Miami real estate market. So it's probably more where I'm leaning towards. Than the corporate's great people. They're made a lot of changes since the last time I was in a large corporate job, but end of the day, it's still you're working on someone else's bottom line,
right?
And just so.
And that's always what it is when you're working for someone versus for yourself. It's always okay. Your hard work is going into somebody else's pocket, and tends to
exponentially.
I think if you have the inspiration and the desire and the drive,
you can do it for
everybody
yourself.
could do it for themselves, especially if you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
So, considering that you said your job is kind of like cat herding, which is hilarious, what other advice would you give someone that's looking to go into this field?
It's for those people that, I finished school. Like I said, I put a lot of work to get a degree in engineering, civil engineering, which is just the first step to get your actual license. And I was unsettled. And I have a few kids that have found me online. Like, I did architecture engineering. What the hell is that? What do I do with this? And I've given them advice, and I know they keep in touch. They found me through LinkedIn, and I give them advice because it's those of us like, yeah, this is great engineering. I had the technical knowledge of it, but I don't want to do this. So those are the people, and then real estate agents end up project managers. They walked a few units, a few condos, and but they're more interested.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of the best project managers. They come from that side.
So Edwin, he is from Miami originally. He actually spent some time in Africa where his family is originally from, and then ended up back in sunny Miami somehow.
Born and raised in the county of Dade.
It's been a pleasure having you. I didn't know a lot about project managing, so I learned a lot in this conversation.
Podcast, everybody, they're learning something.
Yes, that's the point.
Yep.
And, it's a part of real estate, which is why you're on Miami Talks Real Estate. Anyway, thank you for coming yet again, and it was a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time.